The wine glass slipped from Maya Hartwell's trembling fingers, red liquid spreading across the cafe floor like spilled blood. 24 hours, the social worker's voice still rang in her ears, harsh and unforgiving. 24 hours to prove marriage and financial stability, or Arya enters permanent foster care. 24 hours to find a husband she didn't have. 24 hours before her world ended. "This can't be happening," she whispered, her dark skin glistening with tears that wouldn't stop falling. A chair shifted behind her. "Every problem has a solution, Miss Hartwell," a voice cut through her panic, smooth and commanding with the slightest soul accent. "I can provide exactly what you require." Maya turned to find a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine spread for dangerous wealth. Tall, impeccably dressed in midnight blue, his Korean features were sharp enough to draw blood, and his eyes held the kind of power that came from owning things, people, entire city blocks. On his wrist, a Patek Philippe caught the light, and beneath it, ink that looked like it told violent stories. "I'm Kade Yun," he said, moving closer. "And every solution comes with its own complications. Welcome back, gorgeous people. If this is your first time here, you've just discovered where the most addictive, heart-pounding romance stories live. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because you're not going to want to miss a single upload. Comment below and tell me, would you marry a dangerous stranger to save your child? And if you're already hooked, show some love with that like button. Now, let's dive into the story because it's about to get intense." The overhead lights in Stella's cafe hummed their familiar tune as Maya Hartwell worked her Saturday shift like a woman possessed. Coffee pot in one hand, notepad in the other, fake smile painted on like war paint. Inside, she was dying by inches. "Maya, you holding up all right?" Stella's raspy voice broke through the fog. The cafe owner leaned against the counter, her weathered face creased with worry that made Maya want to scream. "I'm managing," Maya lied, the words tasting like ash. Managing was the furthest thing from the truth. She was drowning in quicksand with no rope in sight. Her phone vibrated against her hip for the 4th time that hour. Maya already knew what waited for her. Another message from Patricia Voss, the caseworker who held Aria's entire future in her cold, bureaucratic hands. "Last warning, court appearance tomorrow at 9. Judge Caldwell requires documented proof of stable residence, verified employment, legal marriage, or domestic partnership. Zero flexibility, zero extensions." Maya's hands shook as she read. Legal marriage or domestic partnership. The phrase was a knife twisting in her gut. You couldn't just manufacture a husband out of desperation, no matter how badly your heart was breaking. 8 months ago, everything had collapsed. The building where she'd raised Arya alone had been condemned, structural damage so severe the city posted hazard signs on every door. Maya had scrambled, crashed with friends, tried shelters, exhausted every connection and favor she had left. But serving coffee and pie at a roadside cafe didn't cover first month, last month, security deposit, and broker fee. Not in this city where rent cost more than dignity. When Child Protective Services found them, Maya had been sleeping in her 2005 Toyota Camry with 5-year-old Arya curled against her in the back seat, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Temporary arrangement, they'd assured her. Just until you stabilize your situation. That was 5 months ago. 5 months of supervised visits in sterile rooms. 5 months of watching her baby's eyes grow dimmer, more confused about why mommy couldn't take her home. 5 months of jumping through impossible hoops only to find more waiting on the other side. And now this. Less than 24 hours to produce a husband from thin air. Order ready, the kitchen bell chimed. Maya grabbed the plates, scrambled eggs, hash browns, sourdough toast, and moved toward table 14. That's when her phone rang. Not vibrated. Rang. Aria's foster mother only called for emergencies. "Stella, I need to take this," Maya said, her voice cracking. "Go ahead, honey." Stella waved her toward the back room. Maya barely made it through the door before answering. Hello, is Arya okay? Is she hurt? She's physically fine. Mrs. Chen's voice was measured, careful. But Maya, she's not doing well emotionally. She's asking for you constantly, barely sleeping, refuses most meals. This morning, she packed her backpack and sat by the front door for 2 hours, waiting for you to come get her. The image destroyed Maya. She pressed her fist against her mouth, trying to hold back the sob building in her chest. I know about tomorrow's hearing, Mrs. Chen continued quietly. I've been doing foster care for 20 years. Judge Caldwell is notorious. If you don't walk in with every single requirement documented and verified, he'll terminate your parental rights and fast-track Arya for adoption. I know, Maya's voice splintered. I know, but I can't find a way to. I'm rooting for you, Mrs. Chen said gently. But you're going to need something extraordinary to happen. After the call ended, Maya slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming hot and helpless down her brown cheeks. Something extraordinary. She was fresh out of extraordinary. The door creaked open. Maya looked up expecting Stella. Instead, she found herself staring at possibly the most striking man she'd ever encountered in person. He stood well over 6 feet, with the kind of elegant Korean features that belonged on billboards, sharp cheekbones, defined jaw, hair styled back from his face in a way that screamed expensive. His midnight blue suit probably cost more than Maya made in 6 months, and he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his entire life. But it was his eyes that stopped her heart. Dark, intense, and currently locked on her face with an expression that felt like he could see straight through to her bones. This area is staff only, Maya said, scrambling to her feet and wiping frantically at her wet face. I'm aware, his voice was deep, accented with soul's rhythm. I came specifically to find you. Every instinct Maya had honed living in this city started screaming. She recognized danger when she saw it, and this man was danger personified. I don't know you, she said carefully, measuring the distance to the door. No, but I understand your circumstances. He took one deliberate step forward. You need a husband before tomorrow morning. I'm offering to fulfill that role. Maya's brain short-circuited. Excuse me, what? I was seated in the corner booth. I overheard your phone conversation. He stated this like eavesdropping, and proposing to strangers was perfectly reasonable behavior. You need to meet the court's requirements to regain custody of your daughter. I can provide those requirements. You're out of your mind. Maya moved toward the door. I'm calling Stella. Kade Yun, he said, stopping her. That's my name. I own Yun Global Properties, the commercial development firm downtown. I also manage several other business interests. I own an estate in Riverside Hills, multiple revenue streams, and a completely clean legal record. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Officially, anyway. Maya's hand hovered over the door handle. Yun Global Properties. She'd heard the name, impossible not to with their logo on half the new construction in the city. But there were whispers too, stories about the young Korean mogul who'd bought his way into the city's power structure with money from shadowy sources. Why? Maya turned to face him directly. Why would you possibly want to marry a broke waitress you've never met? Kade was silent for several heartbeats, those dangerous eyes studying her face like he was reading a language only he understood. Because I know what it feels like to lose a child, he finally said. And because I need a wife just as desperately as you need a husband. That doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense in the world I inhabit. He produced a business card, heavy black stock with silver embossing that caught the light. My contact information. Consider it carefully, but don't consider too long. You have until tomorrow morning. He moved past her and Maya caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something else, gunpowder maybe, though that couldn't be right. At the door, he paused without turning around. For what it's worth, Miss Hartwell, I meant every word. I can help you get your daughter back. The only question is whether you're desperate enough to accept help from someone like me." Then he was gone like smoke. Maya stared at the card in her hand, her thumb tracing the raised letters of his name. Kade Yun. She should throw it away immediately. Return to her shift, finish the day, figure out literally anything else. But she couldn't stop seeing Arya's face, couldn't stop hearing Mrs. Chen's words. "You're going to need something extraordinary." Maybe extraordinary came wrapped in dangerous packages. Maya didn't call that night. She couldn't bring herself to do it. Every time she picked up her phone, her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. "Baby girl, when something looks too good to be true, that's because it is." But at 2:30 in the morning, lying awake in the cramped room she rented week to week above a dry cleaner, Maya did what she'd sworn she wouldn't. She searched for him online. The legitimate results appeared first. Kade Yun, 36, CEO of Yun Global Properties, MBA from Wharton, undergraduate from Seoul National University, real estate developer who'd transformed the city's entire downtown corridor, philanthropist, most eligible bachelor. The photographs showed him at charity functions, ribbon cuttings, business dinners, shaking hands with politicians. In every image, he looked controlled, composed, almost remote. Then Maya went deeper. She found the discussion forums, the investigative journalism pieces, the news articles that raised questions without providing answers. Kade Yun's suspicious rise to power, his family's alleged connections to Seoul's criminal underworld, the mysterious deaths of 2 business competitors over the past 4 years, the federal investigation that somehow evaporated without charges. One article quoted an anonymous FBI source. "Yun operates one of the most sophisticated criminal enterprises we've tracked. Everything appears legitimate on the surface, luxury real estate, international investments, but underneath he's laundering money for organized crime from Seoul to San Francisco. We simply cannot build a prosecutable case." Maya's hands trembled as she read. This man wasn't just dangerous. He was the kind of dangerous that left bodies behind. Her phone displayed 2:53 in the morning. The hearing started at 9. In 6 hours and 7 minutes, she'd walk into that courtroom with nothing and lose Arya forever. Or, Maya pulled up Kade's contact information. Her finger hovered over the call button. What kind of mother even considers this? The kind who'd do absolutely anything to save her child. She pressed call. He answered on the second ring. "Miss Hartwell." His voice held no trace of sleep, completely alert. "I was beginning to think I wouldn't hear from you." "I need to understand why," Maya said, her voice steadier than she felt. "The real reason. Nobody does something like this out of kindness, especially not someone like you." "Someone like me," he sounded almost amused. "You researched me thoroughly enough to know you should run in the opposite direction. But you won't, because you love your daughter more than you fear me." The truth of it cut deep. "Tell me the real reason you need a wife." The silence stretched between them like a living thing. "Then I have a son," Kade said, his voice carefully controlled. "His name is Elian. He's 9 years old." Maya sat up straighter. This hadn't appeared in any article she'd found. "His mother was my wife," Kade continued, his tone flattening. "She died 4 years ago. Ovarian cancer. Since her death, Elian hasn't spoken a single word." "I'm sorry," Maya said automatically. "Don't be, just listen," his voice sharpened. "My late wife's family are old Seoul aristocracy who never approved of her marrying someone they considered beneath them. They've been fighting for custody of Elian since she passed, claiming I'm unfit because of my business associations. The case has been stuck in international family court, but they found a sympathetic judge. And a wife would strengthen your position," Maya finished the thought. "A wife and evidence of a stable family environment," he confirmed. "The hearing is in 3 weeks. I need to demonstrate a traditional household, married couple, maternal figure for Elian, the complete picture. So we're both desperate." Desperation creates honest transactions. She could hear movement on his end, the sound of liquid being poured. "Here's my offer. We marry tonight. I provide immediate documentation of marriage, housing, and financial stability for your court appearance tomorrow. You and your daughter move into my home. We maintain the appearance of a genuine relationship until both custody situations are resolved." "And after that," Maya asked. "Then we reevaluate. If you want to leave, I'll set you up with enough money to start fresh, high-end apartment, job references, whatever you require. If you prefer to stay," he paused, "we can explore alternative arrangements." "This is completely insane," Maya whispered. "Yes," Kate agreed. "But it's also your only viable option. You have 5 hours until you need to be at the courthouse. I can have a marriage license expedited and a judge available to perform the ceremony by 7. That gives you time to file everything before your 9 o'clock hearing." "You can get a marriage license that quickly?" "Miss Hartwell, I can get anything that quickly. That's what real power means." The casual certainty in his voice sent chills racing down her spine. This was a man who bent reality to his will through money, influence, and probably violence. "If I agree to this," Maya said slowly, "I need guarantees about safety. Mine and Aria's." "You'll both be safer than you've ever been," Kade said, and something in his tone made her believe him. "I protect what belongs to me. And if you agree to this arrangement, you become mine to protect. No one will touch you or your daughter. That's my promise." "Mine." The possessive word should have terrified her. Instead, it ignited something she didn't want to examine too closely. "I need time to think about this." "You don't have time." His voice was gentle but inflexible. "I'll text you an address. Be there by 6:45 if you want to save your daughter. Don't come if you'd rather face the judge alone." He disconnected. 30 seconds later, a text arrived with an address in Riverside Hills, the wealthiest neighborhood in the entire city. Below it, one line: "Bring whatever matters to you. You won't be returning to that room above the dry cleaner." Maya looked around her space. Everything she owned in the world fit into 3 duffel bags. Clothing, photographs of Aria, her grandmother's cookbook, the complete sum of a life stripped down to survival mode. She thought about Aria sitting by the door with her backpack, waiting for a mother who couldn't come. Then she started packing. "So what do you think? Is Kade genuinely trying to help, or does he have darker intentions?" Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you're as invested as I am, smash that subscribe button and share this with someone who loves intense romance. Now let's see what happens when Maya shows up at his door. The house, no, calling it a house was insulting. The estate took Maya's breath away. Wrought iron gates opened onto a circular drive where a fountain sparkled quietly in the pre-dawn darkness. The main structure was modern architecture at its finest, clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows glowing from within like a jewel box. Maya's Toyota coughed and died in front of the entrance, as if even her car understood it didn't belong in this world. Before she could spiral into second-guessing, the massive front door opened. Kade stood silhouetted in the doorway and Maya's stomach dropped. In the cafe, he'd been intimidating. Here, in his own territory, he was absolutely breathtaking. He'd changed into a fresh suit, charcoal gray this time, his hair still damp from a recent shower. "You came," he said, and was that relief coloring his voice? "I'm probably making the worst decision of my entire life," Maya replied, reaching for her duffel bags. "Probably," his lips curved slightly. "But at least it's an interesting decision." He took her bags before she could protest and led her inside. The interior was stunning. Marble flooring, contemporary art on the walls, a floating staircase that curved elegantly to the second level. Everything decorated in blacks, whites, and grays, sophisticated but somehow cold. "My attorney is waiting in the study with the contracts," Kade said. "We'll need to review and sign everything before heading to the courthouse." "Where's your son?" Maya asked. Kade paused mid-step. "Sleeping. I haven't told him yet. I wanted to confirm you'd actually appear before explaining he was getting a stepmother." The word stepmother hit Maya like a physical blow. This wasn't just a legal arrangement on paper. She'd be entering a child's life, a grieving, traumatized child who'd already lost one mother. "I want to meet him," she said firmly. "Before we do this, I need to see him." Kade studied her for a long moment, something unreadable moving behind his eyes, then nodded. "Follow me." They climbed the floating staircase to the second level, walking down a hallway lined with framed photographs. Maya caught glimpses of a beautiful Korean woman with a gentle smile, Kade's late wife. In every photo where they appeared together, his hand rested on her, his body angled protectively toward her. He'd loved her deeply. Maya wondered what it would feel like to be loved like that by a man like him, then immediately shoved the thought away. This was a transaction, nothing more. Kade opened a door at the hallway's end. The room inside contrasted sharply with the rest of the house's minimalism. Toys lined shelves, drawings covered every wall, glow in the dark stars dotted the ceiling. In a bed shaped like a spaceship, a small figure slept curled around a stuffed panda. Elian was beautiful. Even sleeping, Maya could see the delicate features inherited from his mother and the strong bone structure from Kade. His dark hair fell across his forehead in soft waves. "Hey, buddy," Kade said softly, sitting on the bed's edge. "There's someone I want you to meet." Elian's eyes opened, dark and solemn and far too old for his small face. He looked at his father, then at Maya standing in the doorway. No fear, no surprise, just quiet observation. "This is Maya," Kade continued, his hand gentle on his son's back. "She's going to be staying with us. She has a daughter about your age named Arya." Elian sat up slowly, still watching Maya with those ancient eyes. She stepped forward, crouching to his eye level. "Hi, Elian. Your dad's right, I have a little girl. She loves to draw just like you do." Maya gestured at the artwork covering the walls. "These are incredible, especially that dragon." Elian's gaze flicked to the drawing she'd indicated, a fierce red dragon with wise eyes. He looked back at Maya, then did something that made her throat tighten. He reached out and took her hand. His palm was small and warm against hers. He didn't speak, couldn't or wouldn't, she didn't know which. But his eyes asked a clear question. "Are you going to leave too?" "I'm going to try really hard to stay," Maya whispered, knowing it was a promise she might not be able to keep. Elian nodded once, as if that answer was sufficient, and released her hand. Kate's expression when she glanced up was unreadable, but something had shifted in the atmosphere between them. "We should go," he said quietly. "The attorney is waiting." The paperwork was extensive. Prenuptial agreement. Kade would retain all assets acquired before marriage. Maya would receive a substantial settlement upon divorce. Custody arrangements. Both parties would have equal parental rights to both children during the marriage. Financial agreements. Kade would provide all housing, food, and educational expenses. Maya would receive a monthly allowance that made her eyes water. $15,000 for personal expenses. "This is excessive," Maya said, staring at the number. "It's standard for my wife," Kade replied. "You'll have social obligations, wardrobe requirements, appearance expectations. 15,000 is reasonable." His wife. She was about to become his wife. The attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Grace Kim, slid the final document across the desk. "Marriage license, sign here and here." Maya's hand trembled as she picked up the pen. "Miss Hartwell," Kade's voice stopped her. "Once you sign this, you're under my protection. But you're also in my world. Do you understand what that means?" "That things might be dangerous," Maya said. "That things are always dangerous." His eyes held hers. "I have enemies. People who would harm you to damage me. People who won't care that this marriage began as a business arrangement. Are you trying to talk me out of this?" "I'm ensuring you understand what you're walking into." Maya thought of Arya. Of the courtroom waiting just hours away. Of the choice between risk and absolute certainty, the certainty of losing everything. She signed. Kade's signature followed, bold and decisive. "Congratulations," Grace said dryly. You're legally married as soon as Judge Park performs the ceremony. Judge Park's chambers were in the same courthouse where Maya's custody hearing would occur in 3 hours. The irony wasn't lost on her. The ceremony itself lasted less than 10 minutes. Judge Park, an elderly Korean man who'd clearly known Kade's family for decades, performed the abbreviated ritual with efficient warmth. Do you, Kade Yun, take this woman as your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Kade's voice was steady as stone. Do you, Maya Hartwell, take this man as your lawfully wedded husband? Maya's voice nearly failed. I do. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife, Judge Park smiled. You may kiss your bride. Maya's eyes widened. She hadn't considered this part. Kade stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. His palm was warm, his thumb brushing her cheekbone with unexpected gentleness. May I? He asked quietly, so only she could hear. She nodded, not trusting her voice. His lips met hers softly, barely a brush of contact that somehow felt more intimate than anything Maya had ever experienced. He tasted like coffee and mint and something darker, more dangerous. The kiss lasted only seconds, but when he pulled back, her heart was racing. Congratulations, Judge Park said warmly. The marriage certificate will be ready within the hour. Outside the chambers, Kade checked his watch. Your hearing starts at 9. It's 7:45 now. Grace will file the marriage certificate and supporting documentation with the family court clerk. I'll attend the hearing with you. You don't have to do that. You're my wife now, Kade interrupted. Of course I'm attending. The word wife in his voice sent shivers down her spine. Courtroom 3C was exactly as grim as Maya remembered from previous hearings. Fluorescent lighting, scuffed linoleum, the smell of industrial cleaner and desperation hanging in the air. Patricia Voss, the caseworker, stood near the front with her ever-present tablet. When she saw Maya enter with Kade at her side, her perfectly shaped eyebrows rose nearly to her hairline. Miss Hartwell, she said slowly. You're early. Mrs. Yun actually, Kade's hand settled on the small of Maya's back, warm and possessive. We were married this morning. If Patricia's eyebrows could have climbed higher, they would have. I see. How convenient. How fortunate, Kade corrected, his smile sharp as broken glass. My wife and I are looking forward to bringing her daughter home today. My wife. He kept saying it, each repetition making it feel more real. Grace Kim appeared with a manila folder thick with documents. All filings completed. Marriage certificate, proof of joint residence, income verification, character references, and home study waiver approved by Judge Park. Patricia flipped through the paperwork, her frown deepening with each page. This is remarkably thorough. My wife deserves thoroughness, Kade said smoothly. When Judge Caldwell entered, a severe man in his 60s with steel gray hair and cold eyes, everyone rose. Case number 5894, petition to restore parental rights to Maya Hartwell regarding minor child Aria Hartwell, the bailiff announced. Your Honor, Patricia began. The petitioner has submitted extensive documentation this morning indicating substantial changes in her circumstances. I can see that, Miss Voss. Judge Caldwell peered over his glasses at the folder before him. Marriage certificate dated today. Employment verification from Yun Global Properties. Proof of residence at, he paused. 2847 Riverside Hills. That's quite an address, Mrs. Yun. My husband has been incredibly supportive, Your Honor, Maya said, finding her voice. Judge Caldwell's gaze shifted to Kade. Mr. Yun, I know who you are. Your reputation precedes you. I certainly hope so, Your Honor. Kade's tone was perfectly respectful, but Maya caught the steel underneath. Let me be clear, the judge continued. I don't care how much money you have or how many buildings bear your company's name. What I care about is the welfare of a 5-year-old girl who has experienced enough trauma. Can you provide assurance that this marriage is genuine and will provide stability for this child? Before Kade could respond, A small voice came from the courtroom's back. "Mommy?" Maya spun around. Arya stood in the doorway with Mrs. Chin, her small hand gripping the foster mother's fingers. But her eyes, those beautiful brown eyes, were locked on Maya. "Baby girl," Maya breathed. "Mommy." Arya yanked free and ran down the aisle, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Maya dropped to her knees and caught her daughter in her arms, breathing in the familiar scent of the lavender shampoo Mrs. Chin used, feeling the solid warmth of her child's body against hers for the first time in 5 months. "I missed you," Arya sobbed into her neck. "I missed you so much." "I know, baby, I know." Maya's tears streamed freely. "I'm so sorry. But Mommy's here now. Mommy's taking you home." "Is that true?" Arya pulled back, her face wet and hopeful. "Can I really come home?" Maya looked up at Judge Caldwell, her heart in her throat. The judge's severe expression had softened fractionally. He studied the mother and daughter, then glanced at Kade, who'd moved to stand protectively behind Maya. "Miss Voss," Judge Caldwell said. "Your recommendation?" Patricia looked down at her tablet, then at Arya clinging to Maya. "The documentation is in order. The home at Riverside Hills exceeds all safety and space requirements. Mr. Yun has no criminal record and significant community standing." She paused. "I recommend a trial reunification period with monthly monitoring." "Your Honor," Maya started. "I'm inclined to agree with Miss Voss," the judge interrupted. "With one modification. I want weekly check-ins for the first month, then monthly for 6 months. During that time, the marriage and home environment will be monitored to ensure this arrangement serves Arya's best interests." "We understand, Your Honor," Kade said. "Whatever is required." Judge Caldwell nodded. "Then I'm ordering the immediate return of Arya Hartwell to the custody of her mother, Maya Yun, with the stated conditions." Court adjourned. The gavel's bang was the most beautiful sound Maya had ever heard. "Is that your car?" Arya's voice was filled with awe as Kade led them to a sleek black Range Rover in the parking structure. "It's one of them," Kade replied. He opened the back door, revealing a brand new car seat. "I had my assistant install this morning. Is it the correct size?" Maya stared at the car seat, top of the line and safe enough to survive anything, and felt something crack open in her chest. "It's perfect," she whispered. Arya climbed in, chattering about Mrs. Chen's dog and the preschool she'd been attending and the friends she'd made at the foster home. Normal kid things, as if her entire world hadn't been appended. As Kade drove, smooth and confident like he did everything, Maya watched the city slide past. Everything had changed in 12 hours. She'd gone from homeless to housed, single to married, separated to reunited. "Thank you," she said quietly. Kade glanced at her. "You already thanked me." "I mean it though. What you did, what you're doing, I don't have words." "Then don't use words." His hand found hers on the center console, lacing their fingers together. "Just be present. Be my wife. Help me with Elian. That's thanks enough." His hand was warm and strong, calloused in unexpected places. Maya wondered what those hands had done, what violence they'd committed building his empire. Then she decided she didn't want to know, not yet. "Mommy, where are we going?" Arya asked from the back seat. "Home, baby," Maya said, squeezing Kade's hand. "We're going home." The first week was controlled chaos. Arya was overwhelmed by the mansion, by having her own room with an attached bathroom and a balcony overlooking gardens, by the sudden appearance of a stepfather and stepbrother. Elian watched everything with his silent, solemn eyes, communicating through drawings and small gestures. Maya navigated it all while trying to remember this was temporary, this was business, this was not a real family. But then she'd catch Kade helping Arya with her alphabet, his deep voice patient as he pronounced each letter. Or she'd find Elian slipping his hand into hers while they watched cartoons. Or she'd wake up to Kade in the kitchen making Korean breakfast, extra portions already plated for her and Arya. "You don't have to do this," she said one morning, watching him move around the kitchen with practiced ease. "Do what?" Take care of us like we're really yours. Kade paused, spatula in hand. You are really mine. That's what the marriage certificate says. You know what I mean. He crossed to where she sat at the island and braced his hands on either side of her, caging her in. This close, she could see the darker ring around his irises, could count the individual lashes framing those dangerous eyes. Let me be very clear, Maya, he said softly. When I commit to something, I commit completely. This marriage might have started as convenience, but every day you're under my roof, you become more real to me. You and Arya both. His gaze dropped to her lips. So when I cook breakfast, when I help with learning, when I make sure you're both safe and cared for, that's not pretend. That's me being your husband. Maya's breath caught. Kade. Daddy, Elian won't share his markers. Arya's voice shattered the moment. Kade straightened, his mask of control sliding back into place. I'll handle it, he said, and left the kitchen. Maya pressed a hand to her racing heart. This was getting complicated. The first sign of real danger came 3 weeks into the marriage. Maya was at the grocery store with both kids. Kade had insisted on a security detail, a polite but intimidating man named June who shadowed them everywhere, when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Yun. The voice was male, accented, unfamiliar. You don't know me, but I know you. I know your daughter Arya is 5 years old. I know she's wearing a purple dress today. I know she's standing right next to you in the produce section. Ice flooded Maya's veins. She grabbed Arya's hand and pulled her close, her eyes scanning the store frantically. Who is this? A concerned party. The voice turned ugly. Your husband has something that belongs to my employer. We'd like it back. If he doesn't comply, well, pretty little girls are so fragile, aren't they? The line went dead. June was at Maya's side instantly. Mrs. Yun, what's wrong? Someone just threatened Arya. Her voice shook. They're watching us right now. June's expression went arctic. He spoke rapid Korean into his earpiece while herding Maya and the kids toward the exit. 2 more security personnel materialized from nowhere, forming a protective barrier around them. They were home in 12 minutes. Kade's Range Rover was already in the driveway, which meant he'd left work immediately. He met them at the door, his face a mask of cold fury. Inside, now. Once the kids were settled in the playroom with Elian's tablet and strict instructions not to leave, Kade turned to Maya. Tell me exactly what happened. She recounted the call, watching his expression grow darker with every word. Fucking Choi, he bit out. I should have anticipated he'd try something like this. Who's Choi? Maya asked. A rival who thinks he can take my territories. Kade paced like a caged predator. He's been testing boundaries for months, but this, threatening my family, this is a declaration of war. My family? He said it like he meant it. What does he want? Maya asked. Kade stopped pacing. I intercepted a shipment of his last month. High-grade merchandise worth about 30 million street value. He wants it back. So give it to him. It's not that simple, Kade's jaw tightened. In my world, backing down once means you're weak. And weak men don't survive. But if you don't, I will handle this. He crossed to her, his hands coming up to frame her face. Do you hear me? I will handle this. Choi will never touch you or the children. I promise you that. How can you be sure? His smile was terrifying. Because by tomorrow morning, Choi won't be in a position to threaten anyone ever again. Maya's stomach dropped. Kade, you can't. I can and I will. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. This is who I am, Maya. I told you my world was dangerous. This is what I meant. I don't want you to kill anyone for me. I'm not doing it for you. His eyes burned into hers. I'm doing it for me. Because the thought of someone hurting you makes me want to burn this entire city down. Because somewhere in the last 3 weeks, you stopped being a convenient wife and became someone I can't stop thinking about. Someone I want to protect at any cost. The confession hung in the air between them. I don't know what to say, Maya whispered. Say you'll trust me. Say you'll let me keep you safe. I trust you, she said, and realized it was true. This man who ran criminal enterprises and built empires on blood money, she trusted him. Maybe that made her crazy. Maybe that made her complicit. Or maybe it just made her his. Kade kissed her then, hard and claiming, pouring everything he couldn't say into the press of his lips against hers. Maya kissed him back, fisting her hands in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Kade rested his forehead against hers. I have to go, he said. June and the security team will stay here. Don't open the door for anyone. Don't leave the house. I'll be back before morning. Be careful, Maya whispered. Careful is for people who have something to lose, he smiled grimly. I have everything to lose now. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot in the silence. Maya didn't sleep that night. She put the kids to bed, checked and rechecked the locks, paced the living room while June stood guard at the front entrance. At 2:47 in the morning, her phone buzzed. Kade. It's done. Choi won't be a problem anymore. Maya's hands trembled. Are you okay? Not even a scratch. Home in 15 minutes. She was waiting in the foyer when he came in. His suit jacket was gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up, and there was blood on his hands. Kade. It's not mine, he said quickly. I'm fine. Whose is it? You don't want to know. Yes, I do. Maya stepped closer. If I'm in this world with you, I want to know all of it. Kade studied her for a long moment. I didn't kill him. But I made it very clear that if he ever looks in your direction again, I will. Then I took over his operations, all of them. By sunrise, everyone in the organization will know you and the children are untouchable. Just like that? Just like that, he moved toward the stairs. I need a shower. Go back to bed. Kade, he paused. Thank you for protecting us. Always, he said simply, and continued up the stairs. Maya stood alone in the foyer, her heart pounding against her ribs. She'd married a monster to save her daughter. But somewhere along the way, that monster had become her husband. And God help her, she was falling in love with him. 8 weeks into the marriage, Patricia Voss showed up for her monthly check-in. Maya tried not to panic as the caseworker toured the house, made notes on her tablet, observed Arya playing with Elian in the game room. They seem very close, Patricia observed. They're siblings, Maya said. Of course they're close. Step-siblings, Patricia corrected, but her tone wasn't unkind. How are things with you and Mr. Yun? I'm falling in love with him, and it terrifies me. Good, Maya said aloud. Really good. He's been incredibly supportive. And the marriage, is it genuine? Maya thought about the way Kade looked at her over morning coffee, the way his hand found hers under the dinner table, the way he'd kissed her temple last night and whispered sleep well, beautiful before heading to his office for late-night calls. Yes, she said. It's genuine. Patricia made another note. I'm going to recommend to Judge Caldwell that we extend the check-ins to bi-monthly. You've exceeded all expectations, Maya. Congratulations. After Patricia left, Maya found Kade in his office. He was on the phone speaking rapid Korean, but when he saw her in the doorway, he ended the call immediately. How did it go? Good, great actually. Maya sat in the leather chair across from his desk. She's recommending less frequent monitoring. That's excellent news, but Kade didn't look happy. What's wrong? He ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. My custody hearing for Elian is in 2 days. My former in-laws are flying in from Seoul with their legal team. It's going to be brutal. How brutal? They're going to bring up my business dealings, the rumors, the federal investigations that went nowhere. They're going to paint me as a criminal and claim Elian isn't safe with me. But he is safe with you, anyone can see that. Can they? Kade's laugh was bitter. Look at what happened with Choi. I brought danger right to our doorstep. And you eliminated that danger. Maya stood and rounded the desk. Kade, you're an amazing father. Elian adores you. He adored his mother more, and she's dead because of me. The confession was raw, broken. What are you talking about? Maya knelt beside his chair. The cancer, she might have survived if we'd caught it earlier. But I was so focused on the business, on expanding, on proving myself to her family, that I didn't notice she was sick until it was too late, his hands fisted on the armrests. Elian stopped talking at her funeral. He looked at me like I'd killed her myself. Kade, no. Maya covered his hand with hers. Cancer isn't your fault. You couldn't have known. I should have known. I should have been paying attention. I should have. Maya pulled his face to hers and kissed him, silencing the spiral of self-blame. When she pulled back, his eyes were wet. You're a good man, she said fiercely. You're a good father. And in 2 days, I'm going to sit in that courtroom and tell the judge exactly that. Maya, I mean it, you saved me and Arya. Now let me save you and Elian. Kade pulled her into his lap, his arms banding around her waist. How did I get this lucky? You married a broke waitress, Maya teased. No, I married the strongest, most beautiful, most stubborn woman I've ever met. He kissed her softly. I love you. I know this started as a business arrangement, but somewhere along the way, you became everything to me. Maya's breath caught. You love me? Desperately, completely. Probably since that first day in the cafe when you looked at me like I was insane for offering to marry you. His smile was crooked. Tell me I haven't ruined this. You haven't ruined anything, she cupped his face. I love you too. I tried not to. I told myself it was too fast, too complicated, too dangerous. But I can't help it. You're everything I never knew I needed. Kade kissed her again, deep and thorough, pouring weeks of longing into it. Maya melted into him, her fingers tangling in his hair. Come to bed with me, he murmured against her lips. Let me show you how much you mean to me. The kids are asleep, June is on duty. We're allowed to be a married couple, Maya. She let him lead her upstairs to the master bedroom she'd never slept in, let him undress her with reverent hands, let him worship every inch of her body until she forgot everything except his name and the love burning between them. After, wrapped in his arms with her head on his chest, Maya whispered, We're going to win that custody case, I promise you. Kade's arms tightened around her. With you beside me, I believe it. The courtroom was packed. Kade's former in-laws, the Lee family, had brought not just lawyers, but character witnesses, expert testimony, and apparently half of Seoul's high society. Mrs. Lee was an elegant woman in her 60s who looked at Kade with pure hatred. Mr. Lee was stoic, but his eyes kept drifting to Elian, who sat between Maya and Arya in the gallery. The Lee family attorney was a shark named Park who immediately went for blood. Your Honor, we have extensive documentation proving that Mr. Yun is involved in organized crime, money laundering, and potentially violent criminal enterprises. We have witness statements placing him at the scene of multiple assaults. We have financial records showing unexplained cash transactions totaling millions of dollars. Kade's attorney, a fierce woman named Chin, stood. Your Honor, Mr. Yun has never been charged with any crime. These accusations are baseless speculation from a family who never approved of their daughter's choice to marry him and now seeks to punish him for her death. Punish him? Mrs. Lee stood up from her seat. Our daughter died because he worked her to death, because he was too busy building his empire to notice she was dying. Mrs. Lee, please sit down, the judge ordered. My grandson doesn't even speak anymore. Tears streamed down Mrs. Lee's face. That's what living with that man has done to him. Elian flinched. Maya felt it where his small hand gripped hers. That's when she stood up. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge looked surprised. You're Maya Yun, Mr. Yun's wife and Elian's stepmother. Park sneered. Your Honor, Mrs. Yun has only been married to the defendant for 8 weeks, hardly long enough to have meaningful insight. Sit down, counselor, the judge said. Mrs. Yun, approach. Maya walked to the front, acutely aware of every eye in the room on her. She cleared her throat. Your Honor, I met Kade 2 months ago when I was at my absolute lowest point. I was about to lose custody of my daughter because I couldn't meet the court's requirements for stable housing and partnership. Kade offered to help me, a complete stranger, because he understood what it meant to love a child so much you'd do anything to protect them. She took a breath. In the time I've known him, I've watched him be an incredible father to Elian, patient, loving, present. Yes, he works hard, but he also reads Elian bedtime stories every single night. He helps with homework, he sits on the floor and plays with him for hours. Your Honor, Park interrupted. This is hardly relevant. It's entirely relevant, Maya shot back. Because the Lees are claiming Kade is a bad father, and I'm telling you they're wrong. Elian stopped speaking because he lost his mother, a trauma that would devastate any child. But he's healing. With his father's love and support, he's healing. She looked at Elian in the gallery. Elian, can you come here, please? The little boy slipped off his seat and walked to Maya, his hand finding hers immediately. Your Honor, I know Elian doesn't speak, but he can communicate. Elian, do you want to stay with your daddy? Elian looked up at her with those solemn eyes, then nodded firmly. Are you happy at home with us? Another nod, more emphatic. Do you feel safe? This time, Elian didn't just nod. He held up his hand and made a gesture, thumb, index finger, and pinky extended. The sign for I love you. Maya's throat tightened. She crouched down. Who do you love, buddy? Elian pointed at Kade, then at Maya, then at Arya. Then he placed his small hand over his own heart. My family. The message was crystal clear. Your Honor, Maya said, standing. This little boy has already lost his mother. Please don't take away his father, too. The courtroom was silent. Judge Kim, a Korean-American woman in her 50s, studied Elian, then Kade, then the Lees. I'd like to speak with Elian privately, she said. In my chambers. 20 minutes later, they returned. Elian went straight to Kade, who lifted him into his arms and held him tight. Judge Kim took her seat. After speaking with Elian and reviewing all the evidence, I've reached a decision. While the Lee's concerns about Mr. Yun's business dealings are noted, there is no criminal conviction, no evidence of direct harm to the child, and most importantly, clear evidence that Elian wishes to remain with his father. Mrs. Lee made a sound of protest. Furthermore, Judge Kim continued, I'm impressed by the stable home environment Mr. and Mrs. Yun have created. Elian has shown marked improvement in his therapeutic evaluation since Mrs. Yun entered his life. Therefore, I'm denying the Lee's petition for custody and affirming Mr. Yun's sole parental rights. This case is closed. The gavel fell. Kade's knees buckled. Maya caught him, her arms wrapping around both him and Elian as he buried his face in her neck. You did it, he whispered. God, Maya, you saved him. We saved him, she corrected. That's what family does. 6 months later, Maya stood in the kitchen of the home that had become truly hers, preparing Sunday dinner. Outside, Kade played in the garden with Elian and Arya, their laughter floating through the open windows. Elian still didn't speak much, but last week he'd started humming soft, tuneless songs that brought tears to Kade's eyes. Progress, slow but real. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from Patricia Voss. Final report submitted to Judge Caldwell, all monitoring officially concluded. Congratulations, Maya, you did it. She had done it. They had done it. The front door opened. Something smells incredible, Kade called. Your grandmother's peach cobbler recipe, Maya called back. I finally perfected it. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, grass stains on his jeans and happiness in his eyes. Have I told you today that I love you? Only 3 times, Maya smiled. Unacceptable, I love you. He crossed to her and kissed her thoroughly. 4. Daddy, Maya, Elian did something. Arya's shriek brought them running to the garden. Elian stood by the flower bed, his mouth open. And then, so quietly they almost missed it. Look. 1 word. The first clear word in 4 years. Kade dropped to his knees. Elian, did you just say it again, buddy, please? Look, louder this time, more confident. Elian pointed at a butterfly that had landed on his finger. Pretty. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. Arya danced in circles. And Kade, strong, dangerous, unbreakable Kade, wept openly as he pulled his son into his arms. Yes, he said, his voice breaking. Yes, it's so pretty. You're so smart. I love you so much. Love you, Elian whispered into his father's neck. Maya sank to the grass beside them, Arya climbing into her lap. They sat there in a tangle of arms and tears and joy, a family forged from desperation and despair and transformed into something beautiful. That night, after the kids were asleep, Kade found Maya on the balcony off their bedroom. What are you thinking about? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. How 6 months ago I thought my life was over, and now she turned in his embrace. Now I have everything I never knew I could have. Funny, I was thinking the same thing. He kissed her forehead. I have something for you. He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, not the simple band they'd exchanged in Judge Park's office, but a stunning diamond that caught the moonlight and shattered it into rainbows. I know we're already married, Kade said. But I want to do this right. Maya Hartwell Yun, will you stay married to me? Not because you need to, but because you want to. Maya's answer was to kiss him until they were both breathless. Is that a yes? He asked, smiling against her lips. That's a yes forever, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, and they stood there under the stars, two broken people who'd somehow found each other and become whole. Later, much later, wrapped in their bed with Kade's steady heartbeat under her ear, Maya thought about the desperate woman who'd walked into that courthouse 6 months ago. She'd needed a husband by tomorrow. Instead, she'd found a family forever. And that was the greatest miracle of all. Wow, I'm literally emotional right now. Maya and Kade didn't just save their children, they saved each other. Did you love this story as much as I did? Smash that like button if you're Team Kade and Maya forever. And I need to know, what was your favorite moment? The proposal, the courtroom scene, that first kiss? Drop it in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on because I post these intense romance stories every single day, and trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. Share this video with your friends who love a dangerous alpha who's soft for his woman. And if you want more arranged marriage romance, check out the other videos on our channel. You're going to be obsessed. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next story. Bye, loves.